Welcome, everyone. This is our third Wing Mini-Symposium for 2021. We're really happy that you're here with us. We hope that you're all fresh from the WGC kickoff this morning, which went really well, and we appreciate you being with us here today. If you missed the first two, you can check them out, the Mini-Symposiums, that is, on our YouTube channel as well as on our website. My name is Kelly Blake, and I am the current Wing Global Executive, and I'm so excited that we're going to be talking to our interim global board today. We have with us here today. I'm really excited to get them all together. We do not have very much time. We are going to go a bit longer than usual today with our mini symposium, so this one will be 45 minutes, but we are going to get right into it with introductions. So, Anne, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I'm Ann Robertson-Tate, a geologist, currently president of Geothermal, and currently the global chair of Wing.
Andy?
Hi, kia ora koutou. My name's Andy Blair. I am the president of the International Geothermal Association. I'm a director of a company called Upflow in New Zealand, and I'm the previous global chair of Wing.
Hida?
Hi, my name is Hida Torstensson. I am the managing director of research and innovation at Reykjavik Energy. We are a parent company of both a power provider and a geothermal district heating utility here in Iceland. And I am co-chair of the organizing committee for WGC.
And good job this morning. Merit?
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Mari Brummer and I am the Executive Director of the International Geothermal Association.
Patrick?
Hello everyone, Patrick Hansen, founder of Geoenergy Marketing and current Global Sales and Marketing Manager for JRG Energy out of New Zealand.
And Simon?
I'm Simon Edison. I'm a resource manager for Ormat. I look after Indonesia, but we're active in operations in 6 countries in the world, so I get to see a few different places.
Great, thank you all and welcome. Thanks for being on this panel today. And Bastian, just a heads up, I think we might be looking at your screen. No problems, there's nothing on it, but I just wanted to warn you. So let's get right into it.
It's blue.
It is blue.
Yeah.
Anne, our first question is for you. So as the current global chair and the Wing board member representative from the global operations team, how would you differentiate the global board from the global operations team?
Yeah, Kelly, thanks for that question. I thought about it quite a bit. And the story is that as Wing has grown, it's become pretty clear that we need more than a global operations team to sustain ourselves into the future. Wing needs to structure itself in a way that increases our visibility, our credibility, enabling us to grow while we remain true to our founding vision, which we've summarized in a statement, which I'll read to everybody now. Actively breaking down barriers so that everyone in the geothermal community can realize their full potential, Wing ignites the passion and courage that is making geothermal a global model for gender equality. So with that vision in mind, we realized that we needed a global board to provide governance and strategic guidance, keeping us true to our vision, and an entity that can serve as a model for others in the energy sector. In contrast, the ops team is much more tactical. We think about our mission, our goals, the activities we've planned. And for example, I'll give you a few things that have been happening. We've organized and delivered the first Future Leaders program. This was started by the founding New Zealand team, but it's a program to train the next generation of female leaders. We've improved and expanded the Wing website, increased our membership, formalized roles and responsibilities for Wing ambassadors and country Wing teams, formed new country teams, expanded our social media presence, sponsored students to attend geothermal conferences, and initiated a global sponsorship campaign, which is running right now. So that gives you a few examples of what we've been doing on the ops team versus the need for sort of governance and oversight.
Thanks, that was great, Anne. All right, kicking it over to Andy. So can you please discuss what the WING Global Board has been working on the last 8 months or so with the group?
So I think Anne just spoke to that quite a bit around developing our vision. The whole reason for bringing together a global board is to ensure that now we're rotating the global ops teams around the world, which is really important for us to make sure that we're informed and have our eyes on issues around the world, that we maintain WING's focus and making sure that future ops teams remain focused on what we're trying to achieve. And so we're putting together some frameworks around governance, how we think about handling monies, financial things, how we want to operate as a grown-up foundation. WING has been, banking on people's goodwill and aspiration and hope for a long time, and now we need to create something a bit more concrete. And the US team is working really hard on doing that. And it's our global board's mission to put together a framework that supports a long-term sustainable WING, and that we stick to what we're trying to do. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. All right, Simon, along with Merit, you've been working on how WING will be structured moving forward. Do you have any thoughts you can share so far about what that may look like and why?
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. It's a really interesting question in the context that WING is a social enterprise. And social enterprise needs to be able to continue with the goodwill of people, as Andy mentioned. However, we do need to put in place some structure to ensure that things continue, and they continue with the intent that the organisation had from the start. So look, part of that is sort of setting up the governance structures and how we, for example, how we proceduralise the movement of the Global Operations Centre, how our funding works and how that's provided governance over it. And but one of the key questions has been whether or not we should be a foundation or an incorporated society or something to that effect ourselves. Now, we've done a lot of research looking at the other organisations that operate in the geothermal space and also that operate in the social enterprise movement. And what we're tending towards is heading towards a foundation. And what we're going to be doing is we've put together the framework for that, and we're going to go out for consultation in about 2 weeks' time and seek everyone's feedback. But what we are a strong believer in is that every country should have their country team, and that's where a lot of the work is done, and it's not necessarily done at the global board level. It's just to make sure that we're enabling it with the right programs and the right funding mechanisms.
Can you briefly, Simon, speak to who you're going to go out to and solicit that information from, just for our audience's curiosity?
Yeah, look, it's basically getting feedback from everyone. We're going to put out there basically what are our options and what are our considerations on how we set that up, and basically get everyone's feedback. And we'll go through that and make responses to everyone, and then look to proceed forward from that point.
Great, thanks. Okay, moving over to Merit. As the Executive Director of IGA, you have a unique perspective on geothermal associations. How has this experience helped mold your thoughts on the future of the WING organization?
Yeah, hi Kelly, hi everyone. Yeah, this is a good question. Unique experience, that makes me feel very well, stand out here, which I think beyond me, there are so many people who have fantastic experiences in many organizations in the geothermal space, both in terms of being a voluntary board member or working towards furthering the aims of those geothermal associations as committees or in certain task forces, etc. I think what I bring, and still very keen to bring to the table in general, is the distinction and the delineation between the governors and basically the board and operations, so that tactical team that we just discussed as well. Because I think that is absolutely paramount, that as soon as you grow up from a voluntary nice bunch of people who want to do something good to the world or together or for geothermal, that is all lovely and that's all fantastic. And there are many out there who are very passionate about that. But I think the real structure must be in place when you transition from being a voluntary bunch of enthusiasts to a professional organization that is here to further the aims of not only the members or the affiliated partners, as we want to call maybe them when we're talking about foundations, and having good governance. And as Andy in the IGA has put a theme to her 3-year tenure now as president, is governance excellence. That is, that is really about lifting an organization up to a professional attitude. And I think what we're discussing, and I think Simon already alluded to it, that we had a very good summary over the past months in terms of where we want Wing to go. And hence it needs to be a professional organization, not saying that it is not professional now, but once you really launch into that international space with international members, partners, sponsors, funders, so people moving money to bank accounts that needs to be managed professionally, and need to be clear transparency in terms of why we are using certain funds in certain activities. That needs to be auditable, it needs to be transparent, and it needs to be, of course, legally compliant to where we are registered. And hence, that is also very interesting from an operational perspective to do that well and to execute the strategy of the board in a clear and effective way. And that's a delicate balance sometimes, because we're all hands-on people, we're all very passionate, and hence it's good to bring experience. In my case, being an executive director of a large international organization, and myself also being certain other groups involved as board, and working with, of course, so many people out there who are either in boards or have been coming forward in terms of voluntary contributions for task forces and committees, etc., to really mold all these thoughts together. And I'm very excited to see where we are going, and looking forward also to the feedback from the members on what Simon has said that we're going to put out in a few weeks' time.
Thank you. I know from my perspective, it's been really exciting to watch you guys get this all sorted out, and to see how you guys approach how Wing is going to evolve. So from my perspective, as a bit of an outsider who gets to peek in a bit, it's been really amazing to watch you guys pull this together and start formulating what Wing is going to look like moving forward. So thank you. All right, moving over to Hida. You have spent your time on the global board thinking about and formulating the vision of Wing. I think Anne might have swooped in and stolen a little bit of your thunder, but how would you describe the current vision of Wing and how you guys have been approaching taking a look at how to formulate that vision? No offense, Anne.
Sorry.
No, but that's okay. No, I think it's good to repeat it as well, because it's something that we do want feedback on, because it's still something that we're working on. But what we're trying to do with the vision is to capture the spirit of Wing. And so the spirit of Wing, the action-oriented type of group that wants to gets things done, that wants to support its members, and really encourage people to change their surroundings if it's not letting everyone live up to their potential. And as always with vision statements, it's so much easier to put together a bunch of words that sound great, but don't really ignite passion or ignite a spark. And so trying to put that puzzle together and get those words that really capture the spirit. And so Anne said it once, but I'll say it again. Wing ignites the passion and courage that will make the geothermal community a global model for equality. And we wanted to have the focus on geothermal instead of going energy or wider, because this is about us. It should be personal. And then we are proudly disruptive. And I think that's something that sort of can push people in the right way. We want to change things. And then Wing actively breaks down barriers so that everyone in the geothermal sector can live up and realize their full potential. And so sort of we tried, and it would be great to get feedback from members on the chat or on the Facebook page, just to sort of get that discussion going and see if the words ignite something within them.
Great, thank you, Hida. And I agree. I think that and kicking it off with that language, but then coming back around to it to make sure that it's driven home is important. So thank you for that. Moving over to Patrick, your specialization is marketing. Wing is usually applauded for their marketing strategy, and I would argue that it's mostly a passion of the membership and the leadership of Wing. How do you continue to harness this passion to grow Wing as a geothermal community grows? And what is it that we can do better, whether that's Wing or even the geothermal community?
Right. Well, thank you, Kelly, for organizing this. That's a great question. First of all, Wing has done a fantastic job cultivating and engaging a real passionate membership. That's made things, at least in the initial stages, easy to communicate. Whether it's through likes and shares or our open rate from our quarterly newsletter, or just seeing it at a trade show floor where we're partnering with businesses and whatnot on the expo floor, even in the technical paper submissions and presentations, but even most importantly, the leadership positions in companies and associations that our Wing members hold. It's a testament to what Wing is doing and what Hida and Anne have alluded to with our vision and our ethos. It's proof that we're alive and thriving. So harnessing that passion is really where we can focus to grow our membership. But I think it's less about selling values and more about communicating how we can help our members and how we can educate our members and how we can best position them for success. Symposiums like this, some of the out-of-box thinking, the unconventional initiatives that Wing has done an excellent job organizing and executing around the world are really what's going to maintain that passion and keep and sustain really our membership growth at the level that we're at. However, similar to our global industry, we often get trapped in this circle of preaching to the choir and talking amongst ourselves. And, we have to admit that the global geothermal industry is still a small industry. So there's naturally a ceiling to our overall membership growth and our targeted audience. And even though we want to position Wing from a global perspective to empower and elevate all of its members within the geothermal industry, what I'm trying to do on this board, and I know is active throughout the ranks within Wing, is to reach across that proverbial aisle, find bipartisan ways, for lack of a better term, through strategic initiatives and outreach efforts for the renewable energy spectrum, through STEM, oil and gas, and even mining, and finding other like-minded women's groups in those industries and bridging those associations together, even if it's informal, to expand our audience and to give us even larger, even more room to grow our membership, whether it's Wing-centric or just empowering women in general for equality. And that's what I'm focusing on in this role, and even in my own commercial role. So I think that's where we're at.
Great, thank you. And I know that recently we've been approached by a woman who was interested in starting a women's group or similar women's group within volcanology. And it's, I'm sure, and that might be news to a lot of this board, but it's amazing to see how far Wing has come that now people are approaching us about how to implement other women's group. And that's just really amazing. And not necessarily surprising, because I think as a Wing insider, I've seen how this has grown over the last 7 years or so. So it's not necessarily surprising, but it also is kind of fun to then be on the other side of that conversation. All right, coming back around to Andy, we had a great question from Karis recently, one of our awesome Wing members who is on today. She asks, how can we increase diversity within the board beyond gender diversity into ethnic diversity?
Thanks, Kelly. And yeah, great question, Karis. Classic Karis. Karis was one of the New Zealand global team members who helped create Wing, and and a co-founder of the Wingman Special Task Force. So she has special insights, and we should listen to her when she asks questions. I think it's an issue that we are keenly aware of, and we speak about it often, about our ethnic diversity within our organisation globally, but also in the hierarchy of Wing, and it's something that we need to solve, and we haven't solved. I think it's we often land, you look at all our faces, and we're from places where equality is actually probably doing okay, and we've got lots of resources and time that we can spend on these things, and we need to think about how we can provide that space and opportunity for others, because it's really important that Wing is relevant to every woman in our industry, and we have to connect with everybody, and we do need that diversity. So we haven't solved it. We need to solve it. It was also part of the reason why we talked about rotating the global operations of Wing, so that other groups can influence how we see things, how we do things. And so I'd be really, really interested to see people volunteer to do that. So I'd be really, really keen to see some other groups put their hands up for the next global operations teams. I think there'd be a lot of support for that. I think we need to think about a broader question around how do we ensure diversity and inclusion across all the minority groups. We tackle gender and Wing because it's 50% of the world's population, so it's the largest group discriminated against, and if we can do something positive, it has quite a significant impact on our whole industry. And when we start talking about unfairness around, these sort of, labels that we get, or boxes we get put into, we start thinking about our own and considering our own biases around all sorts of existing social and economic structures and frameworks that play a role in keeping that unfairness in play. And so I think by challenging any issue, it makes us think about all of the issues and how we treat people in general. So I know that was a long way to say we haven't solved it. We've still got to solve it, and it's absolutely an issue we need to address. But we're on a journey, and it's a work in progress. So sorry, I don't have a strong answer for you, Karis, but we're not trying to carry on and not address that.
But it's a journey about diversity, I would say. As you say, focusing on gender diversity, which isn't just men and women, by the way. There's other genders too. But diversity itself is our goal, and I, and like many others, have been involved in conversations, particularly recently, about lots of diversity issues that are challenging us right now and that we need to fix. So I completely agree that conversation begets other conversations and begets other thoughts that people maybe didn't think about before. And I've been one of those people. I just want to say it. And now I'm the global chair of Wing. So let's all do it together.
And if I can just add one thing, is that we have been thinking about, this was an appointed board to get the board going. And then after this point, we've been talking about how the board rotates and how people are selected and considered for that. And absolutely, diversity needs to fit part of that selection criteria.
That's a great point, Simon.
So in a follow-up question from Alex on the chat, in the context of ethnicity, how is Wing dealing with the fact that most of the discussions similarly are driven by native English-speaking persons? I think the answer is probably similar, but I was wondering if someone wanted to address that.
Maybe Andy, I can just add to that. Is that that's similarly. Our community is made up of very vast array of languages, and we've tried to think about how we accommodate people so they feel comfortable. Discussions around wing can often be quite personal, and you know, we're talking about bravery and courage to change things that exist for a long time. And so we've encouraged the groups to participate in our social media spaces in their own languages, and we're starting to see that emerge more and more now. But it has taken some time. It is an element that we need to work on more, to have people that feel comfortable speaking in their own languages, because we don't want to isolate people from the conversation because we're not reaching them in the way that they feel comfortable. Yeah, so absolutely, more of that would be awesome.
Yeah, and I'll just comment that, you know, having gone from the New Zealand team to the US team, here's, you know, these English-speaking people, many of them white. We're definitely looking for more diversity in wing. And so when the global chair comes around again, which will be in 2023, probably we'll start taking applications or start the process of determining who the next global board will be in 2022. We're very much looking for the diversity angle in the next global team. So we encourage everyone who might be thinking, oh, I could never do this, to change their own mindset. And if you're into it, you could, and this would be a great thing for Wing and for the geothermal community.
I think, sorry, Kelly, one thing I just also want to add is that whilst you don't see a lot of communication in other people's languages, we have really strong wing teams who are super active and quite large in non-English speaking countries. So in El Salvador, you know, they have over 150 members and they are super active, doing amazing things. Our Turkey team is so dedicated and committed, you know, so, you know, and there are examples all around the world. So maybe we just need to create more opportunities for visibility for what they're doing. Thanks, Kelly.
Yeah, thank you. We had a good follow-up question from Diana, and I believe I'm going down the right route with this, but what is the involvement of the local chapters in the global team's goals? And the leaders of those chapters would make great candidates for the global team. So Diana, I believe we're speaking about the next global team, so when it moves on from the US team, and as Anne just discussed, definitely. So we're ourselves, as well as actually the global board, will be taking information about these the country chapters, and really trying to determine who the next best fit is going to be for the next global team. And we are, like we just mentioned, looking to move that around the globe as best as we can for starting in 2023. Yeah, we're actively trying to determine who would best fit that role. And we will honestly admit from the US team that we were skeptical that we'd be able to do this, and it's happening, it's all happening. But we're really excited and we're proud and glad that we took on the global role at this point. So hopefully that helps to answer that question. Okay, so moving a little bit away from wing specific topics for now, but kicking it over to Marit. So today the World Geothermal Congress kicked off this morning, and very well attended as well, which is amazing. What are you most looking forward to and why when it comes to WGC this year?
Yeah, I am super excited. I also saw, Hida, you said over almost 900 people joined us today for the welcoming event, and I just say thank you.
Yeah.
Because it's fantastic to have that membership joining us, and so I'm very, very proud, and I see Hida smile, so I think you're proud too, so that's good. Look, I of course I would be delighted to actually have a real conference on site in October, and yes, that's the one I'm really looking forward to. If I'm really deep down looking in myself as a social being, and especially an extrovert like me, I need people and I miss people. And I think I am not unique, as you called me, Kelly. I think I am with many So I must admit, and especially seeing all these fantastic clips that the Iceland team put together, I mean, yes to the volcano, but also in general, everything that Iceland has to offer, I really look forward to October. But I also think that we've done an amazing job, both on behalf of the Iceland Organizing Committee and the IGA Steering Committee. And here I really have to applaud and commend the Technical Committee Chair, Roland Horn, by allowing 2,000 people who are going to present their papers and their posters in an online version. This was not an easy task. And I know on the receiving end as well, it's not easy to sort of, prepare yourself for live. And then, we had to change due to the pandemic now to virtual. And then you receive a call to upload a pre-recorded, video presentation of your paper. I fully understand that that's not what we want. But on the other hand, that we have now a 7-month geothermal semester, and that we allow 2,000 people to speak, and that we have it available for a year, so basically on demand, and that we have a Q&A session after every, let's say, every technical session on April 13th and in May 11, 12, and in June and in July, where we have a live element where people can ask questions and meet the authors and speak with the moderator, and to have that sense of engagement. If I'm really, second to meeting everybody, of course, live, if I'm really honest, I think that is going to be a fantastic achievement if we pull that off, because we haven't seen each other for 5 years in terms of the World Geothermal. We haven't met since 2015, which is actually 6 years. The Icelanders have been preparing this, Hida, for 8 years. It's time that we meet, and we're going to do that virtually first, but then October, hopefully with a bunch of us, and that we can be there. That will be, the culmination, the cherry of the pie. So thank you all.
If I can just join here, I agree with Merit. I drove past Harpa today, which is the big conference hall where we'll hopefully have it in October, and I can't wait to have it filled with people. But also just today online, when the opening event was ongoing, and seeing the comments come in from all over the globe, from Ethiopia, from El Salvador, from the US, from Europe, everyone people meeting on the chat, saying hi, welcome, congratulations. It just sort of, the global community was coming together. The global geothermal community was coming together, which is exactly what the World Geothermal Congress is about. Us talking together, talking about the issues, our challenges, our breakthroughs. I think it's going to be a fantastic 7 months. I can't wait for the whole journey.
It's so interesting that it's like a good movie that keeps on going, or a sequel, a series, like a series of TV shows like we all watch now. And you can't wait for that next episode. That's how I feel about it after the opening session today. So it was great. And I just was going to say, I'm getting information now about the exhibition for the live event, and that sounds like it's going to be really good too. So really glad to see that that's proceeding.
Great. Okay, coming back to you, Anne. You've recently said in a conversation that
pay attention.
You and I were having, that we've reached a tipping point in the energy transition. So where do you see the geothermal growth this year and beyond?
Well, it's growing in every direction that you can imagine. I mean, it just seems, Jamie Beard said this will be the geothermal decade, and she was way right. We're seeing more talk about shallow heat exchange for heating and cooling, for more use of hot waters for greenhouses, and that will increase food security in places where they really desperately need it. Co-produced hot water from oil fields for local uses, and even some power generation for pumping stations within the oil field, cleaning up oil field operations. What a great thing that is. And of course, we've got a lot of untapped geothermal resources in sedimentary basins. I would say, to Marit's credit, in the Netherlands and Germany, been really taking good advantage of that. There's so much more to do in that area. So these deep basins, many in the US, which I know they have deep resources that could be produced, and that will happen. We've got technologies improving for production at low temperature, power production at low temperature. We've got people coming into the EGS market, you know, not only the Department of Energies of the world, but actually commercial players. Closed loop technology is on a tear. And if that can work, you know, we have another, you know, feather in our cap, or a arrow in our quiver. And so we've got countries that are actively replacing coal and other fossil fuel resources that aren't particularly favorable, who have some geothermal potential, and they're working on it. So I feel like the most important sort of element might be the partnerships that are being created right now. Other businesses, other technologies. I mean, geothermal and hydrogen production, just a completely magical thing, but there's much more than that. Moving the energy transition forward in ways that, you know, we never thought about 5 years ago even, or even a couple years ago. It's just a really amazing thing. But we need everything, all the creativity and resources we can get if we are going to save this planet. And this is another element of diversity to me. This whole thing that's happening now is another element of diversity, which we spoke about before and which is so important to Wing. So I just see Wing as being a natural element of change and improvement, and doing more with the heat that is contained within our own planet.
Great.
And thanks, Anne, for giving me credit to the Dutch geothermal development.
Yes, I'm giving you complete credit for all of what the Netherlands has done, and they'll all text me and email me later and say, no, don't do that.
Yeah. But thanks, yes.
Well, we have about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to put you all on the spot and go once around to just give you guys another minute or so to chat about whatever you'd like to, whether that's your presence on the global board or geothermal in general or WGC, or plug something. If we do have a question come through, we'll also address that as well. So I will start. Does anyone want to volunteer to start? Go ahead, Andy.
I would like to invite Simon and Patrick to tell us why they think it's important for men to be part of Wing and why they're here.
Well done.
Good question. Well, first of all, I think that having a diverse global advisory board, even though perhaps we are all English speaking, white by definition, having men on this board will further enhance the importance and visibility of gender equality and what we can do to take back to our respective commercial lives outside of this involvement. Only further educates and plants the seeds that need to be planted to change the narrative and bring gender equality and equal pay to the forefront, where I believe truthfully that we're making huge strides, but having not that I feel like I'm any more important than anyone on this board or anyone else in this association, from the newest to the oldest, but just having our perspective, whatever, that we can then bring back and break down those barriers and those stigmas in our own commercial lives, for lack of a better term, will help in some capacity. So I'm honored to be on this board.
Yeah, and I'm also really honoured. My journey is a little bit more personal. And I'll just speak to it from that regard. Is I've had some awesome role models around. Started at family, but awesome people I've worked with, team members, and people in the industry that have made me more aware of the bias, the inequality, the change that is needed. And so for me, it's what can I do? And I want to be a role model for others, and I want to make small changes when I see the opportunity to make small changes. I want to call out things when I see that opportunity. So, you know, you had a great question today from Karis, and I was really honoured to be able to work with Karis when she was in New Zealand, and I learned a lot from Karis, and I learned a lot from everyone, and so now's my time to give back.
Thanks, guys. I think it's really important that we highlight the fact that this isn't a women's group. that we are a group that's addressing equality for women out there in the world. And that means, you know, we're not man-hating. We don't think that men sit in a room and go, how do we keep the woman down? We actually have to understand it's a societal problem, and the infrastructures that have been created need to be teared down. And we can only do that with the people who are in power and get all of society fighting it. So having men as part of Wing has always been a really key part of why it is and will continue to be successful, because we've got men who are willing participants in this chase for destroying unfairness. And you know, it's really cool. And I think, you know, I applaud all of you wingmen who stand beside us, and just let you know that while it seems like quite a small thing, an easy thing to turn up and do little things, it actually means a lot to all of us. And we really do appreciate the fact that it's not, you know, an easy place to stand. And we are so happy to have you standing beside us. So I just wanted to say that.
And, you know, Wing itself holds true to that ideal. We want 50% of our members to be men, so we encourage you all to join, men and women, or any other gender that you are. Please join us. But, you know, the men in our world are very important to us, and a key element to achieving our goals. So join us.
Great. Well, we are just about out of time, so that was a great way to wrap things up. Anybody have any last words of wisdom?
Don't forget that GRC is in October too. I will just give a pitch. They'll be in San Diego at the beginning of the month, still giving you plenty of time to get to Iceland.
Great. Well, thank you all so much for your time. Really appreciate you being here today. And thank you to all our attendees and our great questions. And we will see you next month at the next Wing Mini-Symposium in April. Wow, I just forgot what month it was. Thank you all for your time today. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, evening, morning, etc. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Yeah.